The brick walls are there for a reason. They are not there to stop us. They are there to give us a chance to show how much we want something. Those words were delivered by Randy Pausch, 2007, in the last lecture, which ironically was his last lecture before he passed away at the age of 47 the following year. Randy also talked about dreams, and that if we lived our lives well, our dreams would come to us. I believe that to live our lives well, we also need to lead ourselves well. And I'll take that a step further. We need to lead ourselves audaciously. By that I mean being bold and courageous enough to always be who we truly are. To live and lead by our values, not somebody else's. And to live life on our terms, not somebody else's. Tonight is about dreams. And along the way to achieving those dreams, we have choices to make. And there's challenges and roadblocks that will get in our way. I will share with you some of my dreams, some of the challenges that I had along the way, and some of the lessons that I learned. 3 key lessons in particular. Now, I didn't learn those lessons from my parents. I didn't learn them from my friends. I didn't learn the lessons from my teachers, and I definitely didn't learn the lessons from working in the corporate world. I learned those lessons from running marathons. It's 1997, mid-February in Montreal. I'm trying to decide what to give myself as a birthday present. Now, just by a show of hands, I'd like to take a quick survey. Raise your hand if you give yourself a birthday present. Wonderful. Those of you who didn't put up your hand, try it next time. It's awesome. I wake up one morning with the decision to run the 42.2. 0.2 is important. It's an extra 200 meters. Marathon de Montreal. And there may be some women in the audience tonight thinking, are you insane? Why didn't you just buy yourself a pair of shoes? I did. I bought running shoes. You got it. I bought the running shoes. And it was a pretty audacious move for me at the time because I am turning 45 years old. I have never run more than 6 kilometers at a time, and to be honest with you, I don't even know how far 42.2 is. And if I did, I probably would have decided, forget that. It turned out to be the best birthday gift I could ever have given myself, because it's brought me to where I am today, including being a Toastmaster. I have 5.5 months to train. This is Montreal. We had snow. Snow does not melt until March or April. I have to start running in March. So I start. And things are going pretty good. But I didn't know that I would have choices to make. And I didn't know that I would have challenges or brick walls along the way. I'm into May now, and things have been going well. I hit June, and then the injuries come. Achilles tendonitis, pulled hamstrings, all kind of wonderful things. And I do have a choice. I can choose to keep going, or I can just throw the towel and say, this is too hard, forget it. But I'm determined. So, what do? Go to physio. Take care of the problems and keep going. The other challenge, and if you've ever lived in a city that gets to about 30 degrees Celsius with 90% humidity in the summer, it's Montreal. And you know what that's like. And I don't really feel like getting up on a Sunday morning and running for over 3 hours in this hot, humid, sticky weather that feels like I'm running wrapped up in Glad wrap. And it's very taxing on the body. And my husband is sitting over there, and if you ask him, he knows that I get real mean when it's hot and humid. And he has to put up with me. But again, I'm determined. So I keep going. Then, it's mid-August. It's about 6 weeks before the race, because the race is in September. My dream got canceled. Okay, you didn't like that? My dream got canceled. They canceled the Montreal Marathon. But they can't do this to me because I've trained for 5.5 months. I'm ready. Can you imagine that you've gone to university or college and you've done all that work for the amount of years that you were there, and you gave up time with your friends, and you gave up on some fun things so that you could really ace the exams? Then the university calls you up and says, oh, by the way, we're canceling the graduation ceremonies. And you visualized yourself walking across the stage as they call your name and getting your diploma with your friends and family in the audience, and they cancel it. So how does that make you feel? Like somebody just let the air out of your balloon? That's how I felt. Again, I have to make a choice. Do I wait until next year and hopefully they'll bring the marathon back? Or do I find another marathon? Well, I know that if I wait, I may decide it's not worth it. It's a lot of work. But where am I going to find a race that's close enough to home that we can drive to? Drive there, stay overnight, run the race, and come back. So Google became my friend. And I found the Toronto Marathon, guess what? In the month of October. Perfect. I'm ready. I'm stoked to do this, so I'm going to do it. We drive to Toronto, which is about 5 hours away from Montreal. And it's not a good idea to drive back. Because on the way home, we stopped to get coffee at McDonald's. And this is what I looked like getting out of the car. Not a good plan. Little sidebar. We're at the race. And I'm happy, and I'm doing so well. The theme of this conference is Rise, Rise, Rise. I want you to come to the finish line with me as we all finish the race. So I would ask you all to rise right now. And I promise you this is the hardest thing you're going to have to do tonight. You're not going to have to run around the block 10 times. And imagine that you and I have just run over 40 kilometers. Yeah. Isn't that great? Yeah. And your leg muscles are burning. It feels like you've run up and down 10 flights of stairs 10 times. And if you know what that's like, it's like, and your leg muscles are tightening up, but it doesn't matter because your heart is pounding with excitement. And now we're about 800 meters from the finish line. And you can hear the crowd clapping and cheering and encouraging you to get through that finish line. Yes, 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 you've done it. You have just done one thing. Only about 1% of the population ever does. You have just completed your first marathon. Give yourselves a hand. And have a seat. Have a seat. Wasn't that awesome? I have to tell you, I crossed the finish line and I said, I'm going to run another one. I'm either crazy or like to beat myself up, but I don't know. I think crazy is kind of a good idea. But the lesson that I learned in this one was determination. Because I could have thrown the towel in at the first injury. I could have decided, forget it, I'm not going to find another race. But determination got me to my goals. And not only just determination, but the level of my determination determined the level of my success. That's the lesson. The level of determination determines the level of your success and how much you want something. There's a great parable that I'd like to share with you this evening. A monk, and it really demonstrates this well. A monk is sitting beside a river. Young man comes along and says, "Master, can you help me?" The monk says, "Yes. What is it you want?" The young man says, "Master, I want to know God." Oh, the monk jumps up, grabs the young man, shoves his head in the river until he starts spluttering and gasping for air, and then he pulls him out. And the young man says, "Master, why did you do that?" The master says, What was it that you wanted most when your head was in the water?" The young man says, "Air." The master says, "Come back to me when you want to know God as much as you wanted air." The level of your determination determines the level of your success. Somebody once said to me, "Well, Dale, how do I know I have determination?" You know you have determination when you really, 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 really want something. All right, but what happens when I get those brick walls and all those challenges and it's hard? What if I lose my determination? One thing that I like to do, and it may work for you as well, is I sit down and I write down all of the accomplishments that I've achieved so far. And then I look at the list and I go, determination got me to do that. That's it. And your determination will come back. And when you want something as much as you want air, you will get it. was the first lesson. The second lesson came in 2001. Now, by this time, I've run about 7 marathons. So I'm pretty good at running marathons, and they always have been great. It came in 2001 in Las Vegas. And it wasn't about gambling, although it could have been. My husband and I decided that we are going to go on a trip. And while we're there, why not run a marathon? Now, being in the desert, it's flat. So it should be a nice, easy race. Again, the race is in February. We're in Montreal. We haven't moved to BC yet. We've only been here a year. This is Montreal. I had to train through all the snow and the slush and the mush, but that's okay. We decide to go a few days early so that we can acclimatize to the dry air. Montreal is very humid, it's fine. But what we didn't know was that it actually takes 10 days for your body to adjust to the very arid air. And what happens is that the composition of your blood changes. And you don't have as much oxygen flowing through the blood that goes to the muscles, because you need those muscles to get you where you want to go. All right, so we didn't know that. We only get there 4 days ahead. It does affect your running. The other challenge that came up for me was that I'd started having some pain in my lower left tibia, shin bone. And I had some x-rays done, and I was told, oh, you have a stress fracture in your left leg. Oh. I have another choice to make. Do I run anyway? Or do I just go and have fun in Las Vegas? I said to the doctor, well, all right, so is this going to get any worse? He says, no, but it'll take a lot longer to heal. So guess what choice I made? Go run, of course. Race day comes, buses pick us up at 5:30 in the morning. It's pitch black, we can't see anything. We have no idea, by the way, where we are going. The buses stop and they drop us off in a place called Jean, Nevada. Please raise your hand if you've heard of it. We do, we have one person. You're very fortunate, because really nobody lives there. Right? We get out of the bus, and the only thing that we see are the bright flashing lights of the Golden Nugget Saloon. And I'm beginning to wonder whether or not I'm in a Wild West movie. Race starts at 6 o'clock, the light is starting to come up. And this is the desert, and it looks beautiful. Just like out here, you see the nice pink sun over the hills. And I'm running, and I'm looking, and I'm looking, and I'm going, I'm looking for these big man cactus. And those big, huge cactus. And all I see is sagebrush. And I'm thinking, well, what am I going to hide behind to pee? Well, it's important when you're running. You got to go. All right, keep going. At about the halfway mark, I'm starting to feel some pain in my left leg. And you know, when you're running 42 kilometers, you got a lot of time to think. What else are you going to do? You're running one foot in front of the other, but you have a lot of time to think. I wonder what's going to happen. And my mind starts to go a little bit further. Oh, gee, what happens if it breaks? And then I'm in the middle of the desert, and they're going to find my bleached bones at any minute, like days later, you know, with the birds picking skin off me. I don't know. But your mind goes a little funny. Do I find a car to take me back to the finish line? I can do that. Or do I keep going? When I think about going to the finish line in a car, I see these words beside my name, DNF, did not finish. Remember, determination? So I keep going. It's rough. I'm breathing hard again. A lot of heavy breathing going on here. I get to about 5 kilometers before the finish line, and I decide, this is really hard, I'm going to find a buddy to help me get in. They can run me in, help me to get there. I finish on time. Well, I see this girl over here, and I go, do you want to run in with me? And she says, oh, please. This is my first marathon. My boyfriend's already finished. He's at the finish line, and I'm having a really hard time. And Dale goes, all right, another choice. Because I would really like to make my time. So I can choose to help her run in, or I can choose to find somebody else. And this is where I learned my second lesson of servant leadership. Helping somebody else achieve their goals, even if it means putting something aside for myself. I have to tell you that the prize for me that day wasn't the finisher's medal that they put around my neck. It was the words she said to her boyfriend after she crossed the finish line. She said, she helped me get in. That was my prize. And I think that's why I do what I do today. Help other people succeed. I believe that as human beings and as leaders, because every one of you in this room is a leader, even if you don't have the title, I believe it's our responsibility, and I'll go further than that, our obligation to help others succeed. Dale Carnegie once said, expecting gratitude. So no, we won't always get thanked for the things that we do, but it'll come back in a different way. And that's the satisfaction that you get. Jackie Robinson, the famous baseball player, once said, a life has no meaning except for the impact it has on others. My question to you is, when you go back to your jobs on Monday, who can you help to succeed and achieve their goals? Lesson number 2, practice servant leadership. There were 3 lessons, I said, and the third one came the following year. This year, I am turning 50. And if you want to take out your calculators and figure out how old I am, just go right ahead. I don't have a problem with that. But I'm turning 50 years old. And we decided to go to Maui to run the Maui Marathon. Most of it is fairly flat, except for 6 rolling hills. Or so I thought. These are rolling hills. And I have a secret goal. I want to qualify for the Boston Marathon. And this year, I know I can do it because I've trained and I've done enough marathons. I know I can do it. And the good thing about turning 50 is I'm in a different age category to qualify. Yes. And that year, guess what? I had 10 more minutes. 4 hours and 14 minutes. How wonderful is that? And I know I can do it, so I picture myself coming across the finish line in 4 hours and 13 minutes. Yes. And then a brick wall came up. Claude was having some kind of infection that he was being treated for. He was being given antibiotics, but they weren't working. So our family doctor says, and this is a result of some health issues that he had in 1993. So our family doctor says, I think you should go to the hospital. You have to know that in 1993, he suffered a brain aneurysm, which was clipped, and in the same year, he also had open heart surgery to repair a mitral valve. I'm not happy about him going to the hospital because my mind tends to go where it shouldn't go. We go anyway. We want to make sure this is his first marathon. He hasn't done a full marathon yet, and this is to be his first marathon. So we go. They check things out, and they give him another type of antibiotic, and they say, but we want to keep you in overnight. And the sirens start going off in my head, like, no, this can't be happening all over again. It's just, it can't. I look at Claude. Claude looks at me. We decide to go home. The good news was, we did get to Maui. I'm still a little bit worried, simply because this is his first marathon. He's been on antibiotics, and a full marathon is hard on the body. Wake up the morning of the race, and he's still sound asleep. I wake up early because I'm excited, but I take his hand, and I hold it. And I pray to the gods or the powers to be that he has a safe race. The gun goes off at 6 o'clock. It's about 50 degrees, because it's a little on the chilly side, but that's good. And we get separated shortly after the beginning of the race. Okay, I'm still good. Yeah, this is okay. Then I get to the hills, and I hate hills. I hate hills. But I've hill trained. I still hate hills. And I was expecting these nice rolling hills. You know, you come up, you go down. No, not there. They go up, they level off. Up, level off. 6 times. But I'm going, and I'm huffing and puffing, and I'm getting to the top. And my legs are starting to cramp up. And I'm wearing my watch, and I do the 10 and 1. So I run for 10 minutes, I walk for 1 minute. So far, so good. I've got a pace band. This is keeping me on track, so I know whether I'm going to make my time or not. And I hear a voice say, you just have to get through the tunnel, and then you're down by the beach. And I'm going, oh, thank goodness, we're going to get some air. No, the wind died down completely. It's 80 degrees now because it's 8:30 in the morning. The sun is bouncing off the sand and off the asphalt, and it's hot, and it's humid. And you know those 10 flights of stairs? Oh, it felt like I was running up 20 flights of stairs 20 times, and I'm only halfway. But I look at my pace band, and I'm going, I can still do this. This is awesome. I can still do this. But my mind starts to go to Claude. And you know that 80% of your success comes from being prepared, and I was prepared. 20% is what goes on up here. That was the hard part. And when you lose focus, what happens? You don't perform as well. You slow down. There's a Japanese fellow running beside me, and he says, this is hard, isn't it? And I said, yes. I said, thank goodness I'm not the only person. So I keep going. We get to Lahaina, which is about 4 kilometers from the finish line. But I didn't know it was 4 because it felt like hours to me. It really did feel like hours to me. But everybody's out on the street and they're hosing us down, and oh boy, did this feel good. It did, until I took my shower later and found out that I was chafed in places that I didn't know I could get chafed in. Yes. But I'm having a hard time. Now my legs are so cramped up, I'm almost shuffling. I look at my pace band and my watch and I'm going, oh, you know what, maybe I'll do 8 and 1. Yeah, I'll do 8 and 1. So I change the time. Oh, that's not working. I do 5 and 1. That'll work, yeah. No, that didn't work either. I'm disappointed. I'm angry at myself because I'm not doing what I wanted to do. I rip the pace band off, throw it to the side of the road, and go, I quit. I quit. And then I thought, DNF beside my name, did not finish. Now that's not going to happen. Maybe I've hit the wall. Maybe this is the wall they keep talking about, because I don't think I've ever hit it before. You know what? I have to finish. So somehow, some way, I just dug deep down and pulled up enough strength and courage to finish. I crossed the finish line in 5 hours and 9 minutes. Far from the 4:13 I'd imagined. So again, I'm upset, angry, disappointed, and I'm beating myself over the head because I didn't do what I wanted to do. But I haven't learned any lessons yet, have I? No. The lesson came in the second part of the vacation. We were given a guided meditation by this fellow named Richard. And after the meditation, I turned to Richard and I said, what happened? Why didn't I get the time that I had worked for, that I visualized? Why didn't I make my time? This is where the lesson came in. He looked at me and he said, why can't you forgive yourself? Nobody had ever said anything to me about having to forgive myself. It's so easy for us to forgive other people, isn't it? Little things that they do, and we tend to forgive them, and yet for ourselves, we continuously beat ourselves up, beat ourselves over the head, and for what? We lose out on a lot of happiness that way. And he shared with me an ancient Huna tradition called Ho'oponopono. Maybe some of you have heard of it. It's about forgiving yourself. And there's 4 statements you say to yourself. I'm sorry. I forgive you. Thank you. I love you. 4 simple statements that just change everything. So while we were on the Big Island, we went to the place of refuge. And it's a sacred place where people who had committed crimes or broke the law somehow, if they crossed the water and they got to the place of refuge, they would be forgiven. So I went there. And I went off by myself. And I said, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Peace. I still beat myself up every now and then, but I go back and I remember those words. So practicing self-forgiveness. Those 3 lessons, the level of your determination determines the level of your success. Practice servant leadership by helping others achieve success. And giving yourself permission to forgive yourself. If I hadn't learned those, I never would have been able to make the most audacious move that I had ever done to that point. to leave a well-paying job in the pharmaceutical industry and help companies solve their people problems. I had no idea what that was going to look like. None at all. In Jim Collins' book, From Good to Great, he said, you need to have big, hairy, audacious goals. Now, this was mine. And the journey so far, it hasn't ended, and it really is like running a marathon. You have to have discipline. You have to have guts. And you have to have determination. And yes, there's hills, and I still hate them. But you know what? You get up the hill and you get down the other side. And when I do beat myself up, I forgive myself. I would like to leave you with these words. There will always be choices to make in your life on the way to achieving your dreams, your goals. Some might be as easy as, hey, what color of car do I buy? Others might be more challenging, like leaving a relationship or a job that no longer serves you. But you'll be able to dig down deep, because I know that you have it, and find the right choice. And you know what? Even if it isn't the best choice, correct and continue. There will always be brick walls and challenges that will come up on the way to your goals or anything else in your life. Some might be bigger than others. Your determination will help to get you through. You'll find a way. Practice servant leadership by helping others to achieve their goals. And you have a perfect place to do that this weekend here at your conference. And most of all, learn to forgive yourself. Give yourself that permission. Because when you just can't do it and you hold that stuff in, it's like carrying a big bag over your shoulder. So learn to forgive yourself. And lead and live your life audaciously. Because there's only one finish line we're all going to have to cross at some point. And life is not meant to be lived with the intention of arriving at the grave in a perfectly preserved body. Hell no! It's about sliding in sideways at the last minute with that glass of wine in one hand and a box of chocolates in the other, and a body perfectly used up and shouting, woohoo! What a ride!